I mean, we could talk about the caravans.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, going into the game system discussion theme, for the first topic, we'll cover a forum post from Golid, who we haven't seen in our chat in a while, has not graced us, but is back recently. And this is a doozy to read, so I'm not going to read it all. But the long and short of it is kind of debunking the misconceptions on the caravan system that the attackers need some risk. First off, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, you're throwing it to me first.
Oh, yeah.
I don't hate the idea of attackers having risk. What that risk is, I couldn't tell you because I still need to, obviously, we need to play some of the systems. But when it comes to even what I consider back to some of the old sandbox stuff is that there was really no risk outside of being PK'd in some of these games, that the risk is, okay, you're going to be outlawed. This, we know the designs are supposed to be somewhat a on wheels open world battleground that is kind of being out there. There's just being upfront, one party is providing that. Risk from an attacker is, we'll say, minimal outside of time, right? I do believe time is a risk, but it's also doubled for the defender. They have risk and the materials themselves. But if we put too much risk or too much penalty on an attacker, we do reduce the amount of defense that attacking that happens, where you have caravans that are easily being traversed between nodes and resources are flowing easier. You're not taking a cut out of them if they are lost in the caravan. And I think that plays a part in the economy. But I would rather go with maybe initially having some risk built in the system and then bringing it back versus when testing happens, there's no risk. And then they add it in there because people have a little more rejection to risk or to changes when it is a negative impact. But something could be, I could go either way. But I do understand most people's part on wanting some risk for the attacker, because otherwise there is the tension that there is nothing to stop everybody from ganking you, which I do think there's some timing involved and stuff, but to be seen.
Yeah, that's fair. Virtek?
You know, I think firmly in the train, or the camp rather, that there should be, I don't know why I said train, but I'm firmly in the camp train? That, yeah, or I'm on the bandwagon. There you go. I think that's what my brain was trying to say, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, I'm on the caravan of attackers do need more of a penalty or a deterrent or some kind of an outcome of risk realization. I know people have brought up there's the whole social aspect of it, like they're going to gain a reputation, et cetera, but most of the people that are going to be very blatant about it and just going after a lot of caravans, they literally won't care. I mean, there's time and time again in games with open PvP where guilds that do that, they literally don't care. So that's not really a penalty to them or a deterrent to them at all. I mean, it could take the form. It could take so many different forms that it could at least make it more evident in the game world, like putting out warning notices and such all around the towns when, you know, certain activities are completed. Like when there is a bandit raid on a caravan, it posts up a notice in town. And then as they become to get more notoriety in an area, maybe a node will start to have guards react to them differently or something. Because there's also the point of view, the same people that are bringing up that the social penalties are going to be a deterrent are also the ones that say that what do you mean you got to be safe with PvE activities? It's a PvX game, deal with it. So will most of the population really even care that somebody is rampantly destroying caravans? Because, you know, it's a PvX environment, you just have to deal with it. So that's also a question to think about.
Yeah, and that's a great question. Also, by the way, there's an ad rolling, mainly to remove pre-roll for the rest of the podcast episode, ideally. But honestly, some of the conversation pieces were, things like the bounty hunter system, right? Because the bandits that raid caravans also become targets of bounty hunters, and it's kind of like that social justice, people keeping other people in check, the whole conversation. I believe Dylan was really funny and made a conversation about how Virtek was getting information on me having a caravan, mainly because in that stream, Virtek and I were on opposite teams in the video. And Virtek would like take out my caravan after like offering to help me. And the idea is that he wouldn't want to do that because of the social system, because then he's becoming well known to like essentially 2-time a caravan instead of protect it when he said he would protect it or something like that. And it's kind of like you get a name for yourself and you become known for something. So whenever people see you, they're like, oh, don't trust him, kind of thing. And I think that's a very important thing. I think the bounty hunter system being tied in is fine, but I also I like the accountability that comes with it, right? Like the accountability of I can't just screw over whoever I want to screw over just because I want loot out of somebody's caravan, But I do like the idea of like some sort of an alert too, especially for the guilds, if it's a guild related caravan. Like the guilds that are I always forget the name of this guild, but like the one that's like a part of the node, a citizenship guild, patron guild. Ha, got it. If there's a patron guild that's doing a caravan, I think that'd be cool because then there's more tied into it, right? Like this is the patron guild and they are getting raided.
Yeah, and Aberrat, you know what? That ties in perfectly with this topic there. That's something even I had thought of during one of the
I was getting there
streams.
eventually.
What was it? PvP zones or something like that Yokai had. I forget what he named the series, but when we were talking about caravans and risks and all that, that was also something I'd mentioned, was being able to add notes to players' profiles when you see him around and say, yep, this is a person that just decided to be an absolute dirtbag. That way, if you see him again trying to apply to be a raid, you can be like, yeah, no, I have a note right here on this date. You screwed us over, so no. And cheers,
Thank you,
fandom.
Phantom.
Thank you so much for the sub. It's very much appreciated. Cheers to you.
Oh my gosh, Vyril.
Arrow,
Thank you.
thank you. That's too kind.
Please. All right.
You just joining us is nice enough, but thank you for the extra.
I got a spin. Got to add to the spin board. 1 spin. Thank you. We'll do that like maybe tomorrow or Monday. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome in new patrons of the tavern. But yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. And you also think, I mean, Shangri-La's on my mind because of Lloyd. But I mean, he became well known because of something that someone saw, like he had the bunny, right? And he was like, oh my gosh, the guy with the bunny. And then he just became naturally like this well-known social person. Anybody who saw him was like, I know who you are immediately. I feel like that's a similar thing with, your actions in Ashes. It will have consequences one way or another.
I think one of the issues with the reputation is we don't know all the systems and how they're going to work. Is how do we know when you are a habitual attacker what you can actually socially cut somebody out from? We know in some of the older games there wasn't a lot of systems that overlapped with each other, and you may not get groups in some of the stuff, but I mean, if you have a guild, does it really cut you out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
so many interlocking things.